Welcome everybody to another episode. This is so exciting for me and to get an opportunity to spend some time with my brother, quite literally and actually from another mother. I've known this dude for 15 plus years, outstanding human being. He's seen me at the lowest of the lows and helped me rise to the highest of the highs. I want to bring to the table my next guest, Taiwon Myrick. Welcome to the joint, buddy.
Thank you for having me, buddy. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I just want to get right into it. I know you got stuff to do. I get it. You're a busy man, working 12 hours a day, sometimes more than that, trying to make everything happen for the family and everything like that. I really look up to you. So I want to get right into it. I want to know, how has our relationship and our brotherhood kind of grown from its infancy stage all the way over the last 15 plus years of more than friendship? I genuinely and affectionately call you my brother. So kind of let the people know what that walk was like for you.
Oh, buddy, when we first met, we were both rough around the edges, to say the least. You were a little bit rougher than I was, but
you being friend. Absolutely.
Buddy, we've had our share of numerous stories to be able to tell. Case in point, Atlantic City, definitely Atlantic City. But to be able to see where we both started and to where we are today.
Right.
If you ask me about this 20 years ago about you and myself, they wouldn't see where we are today. Fathers of successful relationships and being able to hold things down and stuff like that. You yourself have been the motivating factor behind a lot of things that other people see, as well as myself. You've turned in from being, oh boy, from what's your boy name from the Brothers, Bill Bellamy.
Oh.
It used to be Bill Bellamy.
Yeah, that's fair.
And now you done turned to Heathcliff Huxtable. So your transformation has definitely been the caterpillar to the butterfly. Of how to get to where you are and strive to be able to get to where you're looking to be at.
Right. Well, like I said, I genuinely appreciate that. That's very humbled and very flattered. But let's not be revisionists in our history now. You were generous with the rough around the edges. I was very, for lack of a better term, very immature, right? Like you're learning how to become a man proper, but it's kind of on the fly, and it's kind of flayed out in the street for God and everybody else to kind of judge and pick at and so forth. So I attribute a lot of my survival to being able to call you and kind of lean on you being you've always been like my big brother in that regard.
Of course.
You've called me to carpet on some stuff, and that's helped me to grow as a person, as a man. Tell me that one story that you would like. We can't go back and get it, but if you could have taken a camera crew and just like, y'all stand over there, tell the people what that would look like.
The night we went up to, I think it was the Red Room in Raleigh, and we probably had 15 shots of Jameson.
This is not a good idea.
It was me and Greg. Fortunately enough, Greg was the designated driver this evening. We were all drinking and having a good old time, man. I'll never forget. I'll roll you in the 15 pieces of dog shit. I love you. But before I'll roll you in the 15 pieces of dog shit. Every 15 pieces of this over here. But I love you. I just want to know that I love you. For 15 minutes, it was nothing but, you ain't shit, but I love you. You ain't shit, but I love you. And they could have had a video crew for that. We would have made millions.
And some backstory. I won't get into the particulars. Some backstory for the folks at home. We all met up. We were all roommates. No. We just stopped.
Roommates.
Yeah, this is before we were roommates. We'd all met up. We're all homeboys, and we went out having a couple beverages. And at that time, I was was very good at the drinking part of the show, but not necessarily good at the controlling my emotions after the drinks. So,
Yeah.
as
Conflicted as hell.
yes, yes,
But I love you. You said it
and
with so sincerity.
but that and I meant it, and to that point exactly. Like that was my growth into being estranged from my family for some time, having to deal with some of the deaths and these types of things. Like I kept all that stuff inside, and when your inhibitions are lowered and you have some cocktails and you feel that sense of, like I instead of obviously now I'd sit down or call you or have a conversation, but back then it was just like I feel I'm so impassioned by this thing that now I need everybody to know it is important. I need you to know that I care about you before it's too late, kind of thing. So,
I care about you, but I will roll you in 15
but
pieces of dog shit.
I used to talk with my hands with no sign language involved. So,
but thinking about it, if right now at 45, thinking back to that time period, that's where that came from. You were safe. You were with me. You were with Greg in the process of being with us. There was no harm going to come your way, so you were able to let those walls down. If we transfer over into present time, one of my biggest flaws in my current relationship is I don't let my walls down enough.
That's
and
fair.
That's a matter of, okay, great. Who's gonna come at you and what this way or that way and so on and so forth. And you have to sit there and realize, okay, great, this is a safe place. As long as this is a safe place, you can be whoever you need to be. You can be yourself. And that particular night, now thinking back on it, that's where you were. You were safe. You let the roughest come out, and then the kind loving part of you come out.
And that's and I'm glad you actually brought that up. That's a tremendous opportunity to kind of segue into some of the things that we as men of color kind of you're taught from an early age that showing emotion or being honest about how you feel or nervous or scared or apprehensive, anxiety, these types of things are more or less you're a punk, right? Like you're considered kind of less than, or you're soft. And as you get older, you kind of reflect on it. And for me anyway, like one of the essays that I really like by Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is called "You're Choking on Your Cape," and it kind of more or less speaks to a lot of that, where you're the rock, you're the stronghold, the centerpiece of the family, and the expectation is that you can't have a bad day, you can't be off that day, like the mental health side of it. What were some of the things when you were coming up that kind of influenced the way that your parenting style now, like how you treat your kids now?
Oh, buddy, my mother was, wherever you fucked up is where you got your ass whooped. She didn't care where it was. The grocery store, church, Bible study, did not matter. You were getting your ass whooped. And dared somebody say anything.
They might catch one too. If you messing with my granny, they might catch one too, because they in your business.
Of course.
Yep.
Of course. You here, take that with you. But I sit there and I had a conversation with a customer of mine earlier today about the same situation. Nothing turned out bad for me. Did I hate getting those ass whoopings? Yes. However, I'm okay.
Right.
And in the process of me being okay, I didn't die, I didn't lose any limbs, I didn't have to sit there and call 911, didn't have any bruises or anything of that nature. It's simply a matter, I screwed up, he put me in line.
Right.
The thing for me with both of my sons is I want to still have that same strong hand and let them know that I'm a part of their lives, that I'm present. The most difficult thing for me that I didn't realize this up until talking to a counselor a couple of weeks ago, is I have daddy issues. In the process of having daddy issues, when your biological father tells you, okay, great, that you're not his, that can sit there and work with your mental psyche just a tad bit.
Of course.
And sitting there with the boys, sitting there thinking to myself, okay, great. Did my mother ever tell me that she loved me? She probably did, but I don't remember.
Right.
So the process of not remembering, I make sure I tell them, each of them, every day, to let them know, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I got you wherever you may roam.
And to piggyback off that very point, right? Like in my household and growing up, and even Granny, and I love Granny. She saved my life more times than I can count. But you just never, it was understood as opposed to expressed, right? Like from the old hat or the old school, my grandfather used to say, well, don't you see the wall and the food in the refrigerator when you come over? That lets you know that you are loved, that I'm providing. That was their way of showing that. And to your very point, I try to make sure I'm that firm hand, as well as follow up. It's a lot like it is a lot like the Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving you the raw meat and potatoes, but at the same time, what I seek for you to learn is the lesson, not the punishment.
Yes, and that's where that's where Chrissy and I both differ. Because Chrissy comes from a very, very loving, compassionate, understanding family.
Now, just to give some background, your wife is Caucasian. Yes, she is Caucasian. You guys have been together and or married
4 years.
4 years. You have two sons together. Sorry, go ahead.
But she was definitely raised differently than both what you and I were raised.
Okay.
Were there spankings involved? Yes, there were spankings involved. Not as, I won't say violent, but strong as the way we were raised.
Well, that's a significant difference, right? Like you're getting spanking or chided or chastised. I got whoopings, for real. Like this is how it was.
Yes.
So
yeah, and that's something that we're bumping heads on currently, simply because I know my way works for me. And when I see both of these kids, they remind me of me.
Right. Now fair play, because we tread into some of the same waters in that regard. Now, was it the best thing for you though? Like that's where I'm with. Like I honestly have never received a whipping that I didn't deserve. That's just the facts. That's how it is.
I've never received a spanking I didn't deserve.
Ever.
Neither did I. Never. I've had friends that sat there and said, "Oh, I walked in the house and I slammed the door and got my ass whooped." Not me. Or I came home with a B when I should have had an A and got my ass whooped. Not me either. It was something that I deserved, something I did to deserve it. Made a pact, we're not doing any spankings as long as we're mad. We're going to take time to cool off, go ahead and walk away.
I agree with that.
Not mad, not frustrated, not taking out our day on them.
Yep.
Because it's not their responsibility to be our therapy. But we still have a ways to go in that regards to be able to figure that whole process out.
But even, I mean, that kind of speaks to, right, like the healing part of it for you specific, where you're willing to now have that conversation and broach that subject, as opposed to we're a lot alike in that regard. If I believe it's the best way, I don't need you to talk to me.
No, there is nothing we need to talk about.
So I don't know what you want to hear me say it again, because that's all I'm gonna say. It's, like I'm from that old deal where you see that whippoorwill tree down there. I want you to get 3 limbs off of it and bring them here. Like that's from where I come from. So it's just how it was. And like I said, it was never with malice. It was always with the lesson. I just didn't get the conversation on the back. They weren't real great communicators. So I didn't get the conversation on the back end.
And that's something that was prevalent in the generation before us. They didn't know how to communicate. If you sit there, if you think back on time when slaves sat there, and I'm not trying to compare our childhood to slavery and stuff of that nature. I'm just saying when slaves sat there and got out of line with the master basically whipped them with a whip.
Right.
So for 400 years, that's all Black people ever knew to be able to
Pass
get
down.
somebody to act accordingly. So therefore, my great grandfather was born in the tail end of slavery.
Okay.
So of course he passed that all the way down to Arlene and to Jackie, and that's what they knew. And where my goal is to break the cycle is for my grandmother. My grandmother kicked my grandfather out of the house because he's an alcoholic. So my mother and all her siblings grew up with no father.
Okay.
My mother got involved with my father and was not around anymore. So I grew up without a father. So now I got these two boys. I got Taylor, that it's on me to be around and break that cycle, to let them know, okay, great. As young men, this is how you treat your woman, your girlfriend, your wife, whoever it may be. This is how you treat them. This is how you treat your mother. The same way I treat her. If you treat her any less than what I treat her, you're doing it wrong.
I love it. I love it.
But the roadmap for me wasn't there because I didn't see an example of it. And as I told you before, the greatest example of what a father should be was Terry McLuckdick.
Right.
And love the God in death, rest in
his soul.
Yes. But he had his flaws. And ideally what you and myself and everyone else wants to be is be slightly better than that. So
Right.
because he wasn't perfect, but he was still somebody's dad.
Yes. And he was there. He was there.
Yes, he was there. Yes. Any basketball game, any baseball game, he was there. And that's the number one criteria for any parent. It's not necessarily a matter of, okay, great, I made $1 million last year, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But you saw your kids for 20 seconds a day for the whole year.
Well, that's one of the things that I preach, just exclusively about presence, not presence.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's genuinely important to me for some of the same reasons. Like I didn't see my parents and grandparents, so forth. Like I was a dropped off latchkey kid. For those of you that don't know what a latchkey kid is, that means you see your parents on Saturday because they're working when you're at school, and when you go to bed, they're coming home. So you see them on Saturday and Sunday, and then on Monday y'all part ways, and you get a key to the house, and that's what it is.
They need to go Google the after school specials, and they can find that.
Yes. Some of the advice that you would give to your boys or your younger self, the battles that you've had to fight, what would you tell you?
The advice that I give them is to be themselves. Don't let any situation, don't let any job sit there and control what they need to be doing. Do I need them to stand up and be men? Yes, but it's my job to teach them how to be men in the process and know what's right from wrong and stuff of that nature, but they need to be true to themselves. I think the most wonderful thing that God and your parents have given you is they're giving you all the information to sit there and say, okay, great, you should do this, you should do this, blah, 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 so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's your power of choice whether you go down this road. And for them, I know they're going to mess up. Justin's going to be like his mama, and he's going to be okay. Brixton is going to be like his daddy, and that's going to be a problem. But nonetheless, I'm going to be here, be present for them, and let them know, okay, great. As long as I'm present, they can be present too. Whether it's in my life or it's in their children's lives and spouses' lives or whatever it may be. They'll have the not necessarily perfect role model, but they'll have an example.
Well, and that's the one, like, just fundamentally, right? If you look at the average African American male versus the average pick any other race. Basically, a summation being that you're less likely to have the African American male's father in place, not in the picture, in place in the household, so he can see him on a daily basis and kind of see what a man is supposed to do.
Yes.
So, no,
the thing for me, my grandfather taught me how to shave. My uncle taught me how to wear a tie.
Right.
My mother taught me how to iron clothes and make myself look presentable. Dude, we've been friends a long time. You know me.
Oh, buddy,
you know how I do.
You got me looking like Prince and the Pauper right now on this thing.
Oh, no, this is the workflow. This is the workflow. But I had to learn those things from someone else who wasn't the father.
Right.
Even if there was a stepdad situation, that'd have been great too. But there wasn't. I went to play football and basketball for my uncle. But dude, my first year playing football, I was a damn offensive tackle. And I think at that point in time, I weighed 145. How the hell am I playing offensive tackle?
You shouldn't have been. Yep.
No way, no how.
That's not the move.
But it was simply a matter of nobody else taught me all these things along the way. So if I had been taught those things along the way, maybe it would have been slightly different. Because you're sitting there. I've always said that a woman is important in a daughter's life because a woman teaches their daughter how to be a woman. Right. Yeah. Whereas a man is equally as important as far as the father. However, the father alone can't teach that woman teach that young girl the necessary tools to become a woman. He teaches her his idea of what a woman should be. Right. Which might not be always right. In my situation, my mother did the best job she could, but she taught me her idea of what a man should be. And if we're being 110% honest, my mother had terrible choices in men. Terrible choices in men. And thinking back on it, she just wanted to be loved. She just wanted to be loved and kept looking for it in all the wrong places. Well, that's a part of it to that very point. We all have that fundamental need to want to be accepted and loved for who we are. Mm-hmm. But on the other side of that, having you represented in your home, whether it be a female or a male, that shows you how to have confidence and care for you. Yes. So I'm absolutely with you there. Yes. That tracks. As long as I'm breathing, to know that they have somebody in their corner and that they're never going to be alone. We went up to Chapel Hill right before Brixton was born, and we took a picture of Jackson looking over Kenan Stadium like he was daydreaming of one day of wanting to play. And I posted, dude, whatever you want, I got you. If this is what you want to do with your life, I'm behind you 110%. Just dream big, and whatever we need to do to get you to your dreams, Daddy will do it. Mommy. That's it. And that opens, right? Like exposure leads to expansion. Yes. So even having those exposures, like I didn't go to a college football game until I was getting recruited to go. Yeah. Like if it wasn't even like in the lexicon of things that I would be able to do. And my kids go all the time. Or you know, they have access and opportunities and so forth. Like, but I truly believe in that. Like, exposure leads to expansion. Yes, because it's simply a matter of when this stuff when it becomes the norm, not over as over being a part of being spoiled and things of that nature, but when it becomes we want to go to the football game, cool, let's go. Yes, the expectation. Yes, then okay, great. I see all these kids up here, a little bit older than me, having a good time, so rooting for this team that I sit at home and root for every day. Yep. I genuinely want to get into also while I got you here, and I'm not going to take up much more of your time. Kind of your wife's not of the same race, so you've had some things and some sticking points, whether it be culturally, the way things are just done on a day-to-day basis that you or I may just be used to, or it's old hat, or have a level of expectation toward that she was kind of introduced to, and some of the things that
because for me, like even in my in-laws and my family and stuff like that, like there's subtle things that I notice that nobody else can see. So
Yeah.
kind of
When you got situations like that, you think you're in your own head, and then it's maybe totally different.
right.
Well, I will say that definitely, if in most people across America, this election sat there and ruffled a little bit of feathers.
Well, let me ask you this before I look. You didn't vote for him, but is someone who voted for him that you had relationship, right? Like, let's say you had a tremendous relationship with them before this, but they voted for him. Now, does that change how you see them or your interaction, or you just don't mess with them? Or what does it, right? Like, how does that dynamic kind of play out as well?
If we're being honest, it has changed my interaction with them.
Okay.
With doing that, and we've already established how important my children are to me, I need somebody that thinks that they are important as well. And it dawned on me that 20 years from now, if he got a second term and sit there and put all this stuff in place, and 20 years from now, they're still suffering from what he did over the next 4 years, he'll look back at me and say, hey, why did you let this happen?
What'd you do? Yep. That's always, even when you're right with, like, everybody's talking about civil rights, and I don't want to get off topic, but yeah. I feel like this actually needs to be said. When you're talking about civil rights and these kinds of things, and all of these things happened when we weren't even here in some regards, or what have you. But the things that are happening now, like, you see them, and all I can see as a man of color that is raising kids that look like me, that sound like me, that are abrasive in some aspects like me.
Extremely abrasive.
all I can see is how I felt that night from the story that you told about going to Red Room and having some Jameson or whatever, like how I felt, and I did feel safe. And we knew at least 7 cops that were working downtown in Raleigh. I could call any one of them if something, whatever, and some of them just let me go. In some regards, when I was absolutely wrong. Shout out Raleigh PD. But the the thing that crippled me watching, whether it be George Floyd, whether it be the endless list, the list of too many names, right? Yes. Like the was seeing my children's name or my godson in your regard, right? Like wait, what? That was the kind of the ghost haunting the bed for me. Well, what are you doing? Well, who are you talking to? And that's kind of what led me to kind of draw my line is right here. Yes. I don't care who you are. I put it to everybody. It kind of happened on Facebook, and what can you do with that? But I'm living it. Hey, no, if you don't rock with me the whole way, you can't rock with me at all. Like that's important to me. But my apologies. Let's get back to the two challenges of being in an interracial marriage as well as raising interracial kids.
But when you sit there and this may be a matter of getting into my own head, as I said before, when you sit there, you hear relatives on the marriage side, the Trump rallies and supportive, and you sit there and you say a prayer for Donald Trump. I pray that he wins the election, that he's taken care of, and that God covers.
Right. I feel like little Timmy with no legs is right in front of Donald Trump.
Yes, but you didn't say that about me.
You dig that? Yep.
And so again, I'm going back and saying, okay, maybe I'm in my own head. And
right, are you looking? Right, like are you like, ooh,
yeah. Maybe I'm sitting there seeing this. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe, but it causes you to put your antennas up.
Oh yeah. Well, but just to play devil's advocate, the opposite side of having your antennas up is you might catch something that wasn't even meant for you.
Yes. Yes. And so you're definitely working with that, as you say, when you're in a interracial relationship, you have a situation where you may not be the choice of parents. The parents still love you, regardless.
Right.
Regardless. So, and treat you like you are one of their children. But this relationship with Chrissy's parents is phenomenal. If I call her dad right now and say, "Hey, I'm on the side of the road. Can you come get me?" He would be right there. The moment the phone starts ringing, he's getting up, getting dressed.
And see, this is me. My differential is once he get there, do I have to have another conversation about how I got there? That
No,
I feel,
no, because he and I go fishing, and we go to a fishing spot roughly about 45 minutes to an hour away from here. We'll say 2 words, more than 2 words, 2 to 3 words on the way up there. We'll fish for a couple of hours, get in the car. Hey, that was good. Did you have a good time? Yes, blah, 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 blah. Get back in the car, don't say nothing else for the rest of the way back.
Ain't wrong with that.
I can see from her perspective and her sister's perspective why they are the way that they are because of their father.
Okay.
Definitely because of their father. We had a situation with Jackson in soccer, and lady said they just basically turned the nose up at Jackson out the soccer field and thought that Jackson was autistic.
Now I'm trying to be not Jackson's godfather on this thing because
we're right there.
I got my hat, but I'm right here with it. So I'm gonna let you finish this story.
I wasn't there for that.
Okay.
She said, this lady comes to the Christian and said, "Oh, I don't know how you do it." She's like, "Do what?" "Care for autistic, because you're an autistic child. You're just so special and so heartwarming. And Justin is just so cute." And Chris is sitting there talking to the lady, like bubbling up and getting mad, but still carrying on conversation.
Ooh, that's new. I can't do that.
And that was trying because her and I handled things totally different. She's the life of a party.
Okay.
She doesn't go anywhere in the Charlotte area where she doesn't see at least one person she knows. That's why I don't go to the grocery store with her, because she can be in the grocery store for 2 hours talking to people she knows.
Well, that's kind of like we're aligned in that way, you and I anyway, where I could go or I could not go, and
yes.
either one of those things are fine with me. But if I go and once the fun stops, I'm gone.
I'm out. If we can't do what the fuck we came to do,
I'm out. I'm out.
But, she's the life of the party, and she doesn't believe in hurting anybody's feelings because that's not her. That's not
fair.
Her. She's not built that way. And sure, we got married sooner than what we expected to get married, and we're still in the process of learning each other. And that's one thing I certainly know about her. That's not in her DNA. She's more concerned with, well, if I hurt this person, how is that going to make that person feel? As opposed to, fuck you, get out of here.
Well, yes. Yes.
So, and she knows I'm the direct opposite. Because if I'm not going to, my time is too valuable for me to sit there and fuck around and let you waste it.
I think, and let's explore this for a second. I think what it is for me anyway is I was raised to survive. Mm-hmm. To that very point, my wife was in a huge family. Mm-hmm. Like everything was an event. So her empathy is different. Like we don't even, I have to, she says sometimes I feign empathy, but I had to learn how to be empathetic because my entire life it was called weakness.
Yes.
Like oh, you need something and you didn't put in the work, so you didn't get it. Oh well, how you feel about that? Sucks to be you. I bet that other dude worked harder. Like this is how it was. So, but I'm starting to understand, right? Like you don't know what you don't know, and I'm starting to lean into the fact that you also, like, we're raised to survive. versus thrive. Like it's a happenstance that we've thrived, but we were raised to live through it, get through it, go through it, push through it. And
Yes.
you never get an opportunity to see, well, how did I feel about that? Or unpack to your earlier point, unpack some of the things that may have some of your traumas to get to the love and the openness, and then I can give somebody an extra chance, and these kinds of things. So I think the contrast between you guys is very, very awesome.
That you mentioned that when you are coming up and you're trying to figure out this whole relationship thing, and when you come up the way we were, even those toxic bad people, we keep them around because, okay, great, we were treated this way at home, so therefore it's got to be the right way.
Yep.
So the ones who treated us differently, who's the good ones, we treat it like shit because, hey, we don't know what that's supposed to be, and this could be totally wrong. So
because it looks suspicious. Like, what do you mean? Like, I can just go and you'll grab me stuff and I'll just get the fuck. Okay, you playing me? You better find somebody else because you ain't playing me. You ain't playing me.
And so we didn't know. So therefore, there was a lot of time wasted with toxic things that we didn't need. Sure. And I'm glad that you found it. I'm glad that I found it. And we're reaping the benefits of finding those non-toxic people to be able to make us better.
Absolutely. And I believe that hurt people do hurt people. But there's a tremendous opportunity there if you can be yourself, your worst, broken, crappy self with the person that you're with, and all they can see is how great you could be or become, that, like, there's really there's no better feeling than that one. And that's kind of what brought me to the table. But I'm not going to hold you much longer, man. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your time. And we will talk later on.
Yeah, do this again.
We most definitely will, sir. We most definitely will. Hug my godsons and tell the wife I said hello, and we will talk to you soon.
Sure will.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.
Peace.